How are y'all ladies? Yeah? Okay. Did you have a good weekend? Did y'all do anything? Oh, you went somewhere or someone came to you? Where'd you go?
To my friend's house. They had a cat and we were trying to stay up all night.
Oh, that's always fun.
Very quiet because their dad had to wake up at 4 in the morning to go to work. So we
Aye.
had to go outside so we could talk louder.
Mm.
So we went outside, but then their cat also went outside.
And it's not an outside cat. Oh no, did you have to catch it? Oh no. So how late in the middle of the night were you running around trying to catch a cat?
Like, yeah, well, two.
You were running around trying to catch a cat at 2 in the morning. That's amusing. I'm glad it wasn't me. I don't want to have to catch a cat at any time of day, certainly not at 2 in the morning. Did you get it? Yeah. Where was it when you caught it? It's still in their yard?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
The
good.
girl that was catching the cat was allergic to cats.
Oh my. You had a weekend. That will be one you don't soon forget. You won't forget that. That's funny. That'll be a memory that sticks, chasing a cat around at 2 in the morning. Wow. Oh my goodness. So, did the parents wake up? They didn't even know you were chasing the cat around at 2 in the morning. That's impressive. You did really well then. I don't think I would have been that subtle. Somebody would have known I was out there. I'd have been making too much noise or whatever. I'm impressed. Very impressed. It's funny.
Trampoline, which was like very big, so he was just like, in the middle of.
Oh no. And that's hard to get under. You gotta keep crawling around in the dark. And by then the grass is probably pretty wet by 2 in the morning. Yeah. Well, there's not much grass under a trampoline, I guess, anyway. So it's just dirt, right? Ew, that's gross. That's not fun. No, there you go, I guess. We're getting on a plane today as soon as class is over. Getting on a plane, going to Oklahoma City. Woo hoo for 6 days.
I'm going to team.
Oh, yeah?
We made the line double back in time and took the other security.
Gosh, are you serious? Was that for your Texas trip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the line when we first got in was like 15 minutes. By the time we got out, I think it was 45 minutes.
Nice job. Good work, Colin. That's
I mean,
good
there's
work.
50 of us
Yeah.
together, so.
We're all well, we do have at least one set of friends that is on the same flight we're on the way out. I don't know of anybody yet that's on the same flight on the way back, but some of our really good friends are on the way out. So I told Drew, I said, you can go sit with your friend and his mom can come sit with us. So, I mean, that'll work. Y'all can do that.
Oh, one of these cowboy hats that kept getting stuck in the machines.
Oh,
So
yeah.
at one point, they started just opening the machine up and pulling the hats out, like the windows for that.
That is funny.
And by the time there was like the last 2 or 3 people coming through, they're like, just leave the hats on, just walk through the.
Just leave the hats on and walk there. They're causing a
Let's
problem.
go here.
You're causing a problem. So we had a last minute trip up to Greenville on Saturday evening. My uncle retired.
Okay.
And we just kind of found out last minute that they were throwing him a party. So we went up to surprise him. And I have a cousin, not his daughter, his brother's daughter, that uncle has passed away. So but anyway, she's in Virginia Beach and she reminded his daughter, hey, you got to throw this party for your dad. So she was kind of help plan it, my other cousins. So we went up there, but it was cool because he has this really awesome boss that he's worked for many years. And this guy like buys businesses and just like turns them around and makes them amazing. My uncle does a lot of the managing for him. So he really loves my uncle because he kept saying, like, I wouldn't be where I am business wise if it weren't for Pete. So this was wild. This man paid for the entire party, the rental of the space, all the food, sent my cousin Lucas out to the liquor store and said, go buy liquor, make sure it's top shelf. I mean, the guy was like not sparing any expense, right? He paid for my uncle's daughter and her entire family to have a hotel room nearby because they live in Columbia, so it's a little bit of a drive. Paid for my cousin who came up from Virginia Beach, paid for her hotel room, and as a gift, gave him an envelope that was like a lottery scratch-off ticket. And it said Bon Voyage on it. And he said to him, "You pick anywhere in the world you want to go on vacation and choose anybody you want to go with you. It's on me." He's like, "I heard you wanted to go to Rome or Greece or something. I mean, I got it, whatever you want to do." I was like, daggone, this is the boss to have. Like, how amazing to do all that.
He has been working with him.
For about I think 15, 20 years he's been working with him off and on. But yeah, he's also currently driving a company car, even though he's retired. He's like, "You keep the car and I've got gas until you no longer have the car." So like he uses a gas card even. He didn't even pay for his own gas. Like this guy like is really grateful for my uncle. So he's spoiling him and I love it. It's great because I mean it worked, 50 years of his life. It's nice to be spoiled at the end. So
I mean, my mom works for a guy and he lets most of his employees, he has this beach house condo thing. Lets people go there. He lets his employees go there free.
Yeah.
Nothing you have to do is just clean up after
Yeah.
yourself. But he does, I think, rent it out to others.
Yeah, that's nice. I've known of people who do that. We got people at church who like let our priest have it or whatever, that kind of thing. But I mean, vacation anywhere you want in the world, I'll pay for the entire thing, no expense spared. You decide where you're going. Like it was pretty wild. And so I was very happy for my uncle because he's been treated well and that's good.
Yeah.
So well, when Evan gets here, he'll be hobbling because apparently he broke his ankle or something. And that's why he wasn't here last week. And today's Evan's last day. He will not be back for the next 2 classes. So we will be seeing him off today. So long, farewell. And only 2 more with you ladies before you're gone. Off into the world of public middle school, right? Are you ready? Are you excited about it? Nervous about it? You don't know? Don't have any feelings about it? I would think it would be one or the other. Excited or nervous? I don't know. I think that light bulb is out because that ceiling light kept turning on. So I'm letting it be a little dark in here because at least it's not uneven because that was messing with my like OCD-ishness. I was like, why is it like that? It's half and half. I can't take it. I got a whole bunch of groceries in my Walmart shopping cart that I am planning to have delivered to the hotel because it's one of those ones with a tiny kitchen. Fingers crossed that it actually works. I wanted to get a good look at the hotel room first before I hit buy, just in case it's not like the ones in the pictures online. The pictures online had like a full-size fridge.
I went to one where it was like, oh, it's gonna have a mini fridge and like
Yeah.
a little stove.
Yeah.
A dishwasher. We got there, it had a full size and it had like an island and everything. We're just like, don't think this is what we.
This is nice though. I'll take it. Yeah.
But it was nice because we had a 3 or 4 day swim meet. So
yeah.
Cool, we can make our own food.
Yeah, and I think we have a Keurig. I was trying to zoom in on the picture and see if it looks like a Keurig, but I don't want to buy a bunch of pods and then not be able to use them. Like I'd rather just buy a bag of coffee then if that's the case. I don't know what the situation is going to be, so we will see. But I'm excited to go. I'm not excited about this being 6 days. 6 days is a long time. Yes, so he gets to warm up on the equipment Wednesday morning. He competes Thursday evening. We'll know late Friday night whether he qualifies for finals. And then finals are Sunday. Hey, how's the ankle? Not bad? You doing all right? You're hanging in there? All right, I'm sorry to hear that you hurt it. What were you doing?
200 pounds kid just stepped on me.
Oh, what the heck? A 200-pound kid? Why does that even exist? How old is this person?
Definitely older.
Well, goodness, 200 pounds is big. My word. Well, I'm sorry about your ankle, but I'm glad you're back. Are we ready? Okay, we've got today. We've got next week where it's a very short lesson, and then we have review. And then the week after that is finals. And today's your last day, right? Okay, good. And before you leave today, there is a bag for you by the stairs, got your name on it. You take that when you go, okay? That's our end of the year gift that normally would go out on the last day, but since it's your last day, you can take it now. All right, are we ready, folks? let's do this. So first up, we have a lot of things coming up. You need to pay attention to what's coming due. Your lab today, the second part of it, that you're modeling a negative feedback loop, that's going to be due next week, 1 per team. You will probably be able to get it completed in class today. There will probably be time for you to do that. Your My Model Body book, the little orange booklet, turn that in next week. Your actual model, your big roll of paper, turn that in next week. You also have your Unit 8 tests due at 8 a.m. next week. And then you have your final exam study packet. You're not going to turn that in, but you're going to want it to be completed by next week so that you're ready for reviews. Okay? Have you started your packets? Started working on your midterm? Your final exam study packet? You should hopefully be working on it by now. And then on Sunday, the 17th, you got to give me anything that's overdue by 8 a.m. so you don't get a 0. Your final project paper needs to be uploaded by 8 a.m. And this is a Sunday, not a Tuesday, right? And then you also need to go ahead and complete your assignment for what pizza you're ordering for our final day. And then on the 19th is final exams, and we're doing presentations, and then you're out, right? Right on. All right, so just keep that in mind. There's a lot going on. All right, so we're going to start with the endocrine system. So the function of the endocrine system is to produce chemical messengers from glands that regulate certain body activities. And what do we call those chemical messengers? Does anybody know what they are? No? So they are hormones. Hormones are chemical messengers in your body that regulate certain body activities. They're usually produced by one gland or in one place, and they act on a target in another place most of the time. Some are local. So hormones are chemical substances that act like messenger molecules in the body. After being made in one part of the body, they travel to other parts of the body where they help control how cells and organs do their work. Hormones act on specific cells and other cells ignore the message. What do you call the cells that hormones are working on? So these are your target cells. So not all hormones are going to be able to work on all cells. They're only going to work on specific cells that are target cells. Other cells are going to completely ignore the message. It's kind of like, let's say Evan has something that Everly is interested in hearing about. So he's telling her this whole interesting story, but it bores Emerson to tears. So she's just ignoring the conversation. Everly would be the target cell. Evan would be the hormone, sending her this message. And you would just be another cell bobbing along, ignoring the whole situation because it's not of interest to you. This is boring, right? All right, so you have glands in your body. Some are endocrine and some are exocrine. And you can use those Greek and Latin roots again, endo meaning in, exo meaning from the outside. All right, so a gland is an organ in the human or animal body that secretes particular chemical substances for use in the body or for discharge into the surroundings. So you've got, for example, your pancreas. Does anybody know what your pancreas secretes? This is a great example of how your endocrine system functions. So it secretes insulin. And what does insulin do? Does anybody know? Insulin helps control your blood sugar, right? It's necessary to have insulin in your body. You don't want too much. You don't want too little. You want just the right amount. And we're going to be modeling that today in our lab. So it secretes insulin and it targets liver and muscles. And then we have exocrine glands. So where did I say exocrine glands secrete their substances? These are that secrete substances out of the body. So these are tube-like structures or ducts, and they secrete directly out of the body or into the digestive system. So do you think you could think of an exocrine gland? What is something that is secreted out of your body? No? Do you sweat? Does that come out of your body? Good example right there. All right. So tear ducts, bile ducts, and sweat glands. So tear ducts secrete tears out of your eyes, out of your body. Sweat glands are going to secrete sweat out of your body. And then your bile duct is going to secrete bile from your gallbladder into your digestive system. And bile is for emulsifying fat so that it's easier for your body to break down. Then we have endocrine glands. So if exocrine glands excrete into your digestive system or outside of your body, then where do endocrine glands? You know, they're going to secrete into your body. And this is what an endocrinologist does. If you know people who go to an endocrinologist, these people work with hormones and glands that secrete hormones. That's what they do. So these release hormones directly into your bloodstream. An example would be like your pituitary gland, your adrenal glands, or your thyroid. So how is the endocrine system controlled? Well, you have the hypothalamus, which is inside your brain, and it's a gland that controls your hormone system. This is your main control center for your endocrine system. This is the big one. So you want this guy to be functioning well, all right? It releases hormones to other parts of your brain called pituitary gland, which is another very important part. And it sends hormones out to your different organs, releasing more hormones. So this is, you definitely want your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland to be functioning properly, right? Because they're kind of regulating everything else. So it maintains your daily physiological cycles. What is meant by that? Daily physiological cycles. What do you think? Like, what's that mean? Nobody has a guess. So when you wake up, when you go to sleep, how you digest your food, how you excrete waste, all of those kinds of things. And it helps control your appetite. It regulates emotional responses, whether you're angry, sad, all those kinds of things. It regulates your body temperature. All right, so here we've got some glands. Let's see if we can figure out what they are. So number one is pointing to a gland in your head. Anybody want to guess what gland that would be? It's one of the ones we just talked about. So that's a well, actually we didn't, but it's next to those. So that's a pineal gland. There's another one in your head called pituitary gland and the hypothalamus, right? They're right next to each other. They work in concert. Does anybody know what number 3 is? It's right here in your throat. Sometimes a doctor will grab your throat here and say, swallow, and you swallow. And they're feeling for that gland. You know what that one is? So that's your thyroid gland. And your thyroid gland is really important. Do you know what your thyroid does? It kind of is like, it's like your body's engine regulator. So it controls your metabolism. So if your thyroid doesn't produce enough of its hormones, your metabolism slows down. You can get really sluggish, you can get overweight, you can lose hair, you can be really sleepy. And if your thyroid works too much, it's the opposite. You can be too thin, you can be like having trouble sleeping, you're like all the time because it's got your engine running too fast. So your thyroid kind of controls how your engine runs, how your metabolism runs. Do you know what number 4 is? Anybody know? That's a thymus. Now, number 5. Anybody know what number 5 is? Okay, that's going to be your pancreas. So this is what we're going to model today in lab. We're going to model how the pancreas and insulin work and how that's a negative feedback loop situation. We're going to model that today using water. We're hopefully not going to pour it all over the house, but it's really easy to see how it works once you model it. All right, does anybody know what these little yellow guys are, number 6? What's it on top of? Everybody should be able to tell me. What are the brown things right there? Kidneys. Very good. Good, Emerson. Kidneys. What's on top of your kidneys? Do you know? So those are your adrenal glands. What do? What does adrenaline do? Anybody know? Yep, I'm sure you've heard somebody say, oh, it has got his adrenaline running or got his adrenaline up. What does adrenaline do? Anybody know? So this amps you up. Adrenaline is like fight or flight. It will really, really amp you up. Like if you're in a situation where something dangerous is about to happen or you get really excited for some reason, that's adrenaline that pumps through your body that does that to you. And actually, if you're in a situation where like maybe you're in a situation that was very dangerous and you could have died or you could have gotten hurt, sometimes your body pumps so much adrenaline into you that you even feel sick afterwards as it tries to work its way out. But it'll dilate your blood vessels. It will increase your heart rate. It'll increase your respiration. You can It'll shut your digestive system down because you don't need to focus energy on that. You need your muscles need to move, so you're breathing harder and you've got more blood flow because that's like fight or flight. All right, now what's number 8 pointing to? That one's, I mean, sorry, number 7, sorry. So 7 is going to be testes, 8 is going to be ovaries, right? So these are part of reproductive system, but they're also endocrine glands because they do produce hormones. And then number 9, it says only during pregnancy. What might that be? Something that secretes hormones, but only during pregnancy. It's something that only exists during pregnancy. Doesn't exist any other time. Anybody think about it for a second? What might be present during pregnancy that's not present any other time? It's an entire organ that gets built specifically for pregnancy. So it's a placenta, right? A placenta is the only organ that an adult human being will grow from scratch. Grow a whole organ to support a fetus while it's developing, right? And it will secrete hormones. So yes, that will count. All right, so here's some example of some of the glands, what they produce, what they're targeting, and what the function is. So you got your pineal gland that produces melatonin. It targets many different organs, and it's your biological clock. Anybody ever take melatonin to go to sleep? So you can take manufactured melatonin because it mimics what your body naturally produces. So you can take a little extra melatonin sometimes. Like it's great if you're traveling and you're in a different time zone and you need to I need to fall asleep now, or, so that I'm on the right time zone. People will do that sometimes. Yeah. Now your pituitary gland does a lot of things. So if you look where it says FSH and LH, targets the ovaries and works on the menstrual cycle. So that's follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, which are part of the menstrual cycle. And that works on your ovaries. ADH works on your kidneys. It's for osmoregulation, osmosis, how much water you've got in your body, right? You've got growth hormone, many different target organs, and it's for growing, obviously. Oxytocin works on the uterus for birth contractions. If you don't have oxytocin, your uterus doesn't contract, baby can't come out. Prolactin works on breast tissue, it produces milk. And these are all produced in the pituitary. Your thyroid produces thyroxine, targets the liver, there's your metabolic rate, right? We were talking about how your thyroid controls your metabolism. Your adrenal glands does adrenaline, fight or flight, right? It also does cortisol, which is anti-stress. You hear a lot about cortisol these days. There are a lot of like herbal supplements and stuff that are meant to reduce your cortisol level. If you can get a lot of extra cortisol in your body if you're stressed because it's trying to calm you down. But like extra cortisol, they're saying these days it can cause you to like add weight to your body and other things like that, extra fat to your body if you keep a level that's too high for too long. So people are trying to take supplements and stuff to kind of manipulate those levels in their body. Your pancreas produces insulin, which works on your liver and controls your blood sugar, like we said. Your ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone. They work on your uterus. They're part of the menstrual cycle. So the menstrual cycle has ovaries and pituitary gland, right? They're both involved. And then you've got your testes that produce testosterone. They work on lots of different organs, and those are your male characteristics. It's the absence of testosterone in embryonic development that allows an embryo to continue to develop with female characteristics. The presence of testosterone causes male characteristics to develop. And females do have some level of testosterone. We just don't have a ton. We have a little, right? And males have a tiny bit of estrogen too, but not a ton. Those are the two that kind of throw things in different directions. So there's an example of some exocrine glands. You have a salivary gland. What do your salivary glands excrete? They excrete saliva. What's the purpose of saliva? Why do you have saliva? Can you imagine your mouth without saliva for just a minute? Would it be comfortable? That would be gross, right? Would it be hard to chew, hard to eat? And remember, saliva also contains amylase that helps break down sugars and things. Remember, There are certain enzymes in your salivas where your digestion starts. We talked about that in the digestive system. So you've got mammary glands, and they're going to excrete milk, obviously. Sebaceous glands in your skin excrete oil. So these are all important. Oil in your skin is important. It helps make it waterproof, right? And helps maintain the moisture in your body so that it doesn't just evaporate on out. There's a layer of oil. It helps keep it in. All right, so glands can be different shapes. You can have a little simple alveolar, which looks kind of like the alveoli in your lungs, right? It's just a little pouch, a little round pouch. But you can also have them tubular. So you can see how that one looks almost like a test tube, right? And then you can have them be branched or coiled. Mammary glands look like that. They're compound alveolar. So you've got lots of small little pockets all together, and they will produce milk, and then that milk will come out of a breast for nursing a baby. Then you've got tubal alveolar, where it's kind of a combination. Tubulo-alveolar, kind of a combination of tubes and the tubular kind and the alveolar kind. And then you have compound tubular. And that's what mucus glands look like. So, like in your nose, they look like that, or in your mouth. All right, and then here comes my favorite part of the year. So now I get to watch you squirm. I actually love teaching the reproductive system. It's my favorite. It's my favorite to teach for two reasons. I think it's the most fascinating system. And I actually did my senior research project in college, the only time I've ever been published in a scientific publication. And it was a reproduction related topic because I really think it's very fascinating. And then it makes you guys squirm, and it's fun to watch you squirm. So here's the thing, I'll tell you. We're just gonna say all the words. We're not gonna say silly little words. We're just gonna say all the words. We're gonna just talk as plainly and as comfortably as possible about something that makes sometimes people get uncomfortable. All right. So reproductive system, here we go. So first we're gonna knock the dust off of it by showing this video on fertilization, how fertilization occurs. This is from the very beginning to the fertilized egg. So, yep, he's going to use the words too. Hold on, what did you get?
Fertilization is the epic story of a single sperm facing incredible odds to unite with an egg and form a new human life. It is the story of all of us.
None of us would be here without this, so here we go.
During sexual intercourse, about 300 million sperm enter the vagina. Soon afterward, millions of them will either flow out of the vagina or die in its acidic environment. However, many survive because of the protective elements provided in the fluid surrounding them. Next, the sperm must pass through the cervix and open into the uterus. Usually, it remains tightly closed, but here the cervix is open for a few days while the woman ovulates. The sperm swim through the cervical mucus, which is thinned to a more watery consistency for easier passage. Once inside the cervix, the sperm continues swimming toward the uterus, though millions will die trying to make it through the mucus. Some sperm remain behind, caught in the folds of the cervix, but they may later continue the journey as a backup to the first group. Inside the uterus, muscular uterine contractions assist the sperm on their journey toward the egg. However, resident cells from the woman's immune system, mistaking the sperm for foreign invaders, destroy thousands more. Next, half the sperm head for the empty fallopian tube, while the other half swim toward the tube containing the unfertilized egg. Now, only a few thousand remain. Inside the fallopian tube, tiny cilia push the egg toward the uterus. To continue, the sperm must surge against this motion to reach the egg. Some sperm get trapped in the cilia and die. During this part of the journey, chemicals in the reproductive tract cause the membranes covering the heads of the sperm to change. As a result, the sperm become hyperactive, swimming harder and faster toward their destination. At long last, the sperm reach the egg. Only a few dozen of the original 300 million sperm remain. The egg is covered with a layer of cells called the corona radiata. The sperm must push through this layer to reach the outer layer of the egg, the zona pellucida. When sperm reach the zona pellucida, they attach to specialized sperm receptors on the surface, which triggers their acrosomes to release digestive enzymes, enabling the sperm to burrow into the layer. Inside the zona pellucida is a narrow, fluid-filled space just outside the egg cell membrane. The first sperm to make contact will fertilize the egg. After a perilous journey and against incredible odds, a single sperm attaches to the egg cell membrane. Within a few minutes, their outer membranes fuse and the egg pulls the sperm inside. This event causes changes in the egg membrane that prevent other sperm from attaching to it. Next, the egg releases chemicals that push other sperm away from the egg and create an impenetrable fertilization membrane. As the reaction spreads outward, the zona pellucida hardens, trapping any sperm unlucky enough to be caught inside. Outside the egg, sperm are no longer able to attach to the zona pellucida. Meanwhile, inside the egg, the tightly packed male genetic material spreads out. A new membrane forms around the genetic material, creating the male pronucleus. Inside, the genetic material reforms into 23 chromosomes. The female genetic material, awakened by the fusion of the sperm with the egg, finishes dividing, resulting in a female pronucleus, which also contains 23 chromosomes. As the male and female pronuclei form, spiderweb-like threads, called microtubules, pull them toward each other. The two sets of chromosomes join together, completing the process of fertilization. At this moment, a unique genetic code arises, instantly determining gender, hair color, eye color, and hundreds of other characteristics. This new single cell, the zygote, is the beginning of a new human being. And now the cilia in the fallopian tube gently sweep the zygote toward the uterus, where he or she will implant in the rich uterine lining, growing and maturing for the next 9 months until ready for birth.
So pretty complex, right? Very complex. Okay, so now we're going to do male reproductive system, and then we'll do female reproductive system. Okay, so what are the parts of the anatomy that produce sperm and sex hormones? And these are like equivalent to the ovaries in a female. Does anybody know? Nobody wants to say it. So these are going to be your testes. These are your testes, right? And they are located inside the scrotum, which is the pouch that holds them, which is on the outside of the body, right? The testes are, well, they're inside the body, but they're not tucked up into the abdomen like the ovaries are. Do you know why? So the reason that testicles or scrotum and testes are outside, hang outside of the abdominal cavity is because sperm can only develop at certain temperatures, and inside your body is too hot. They need to have slightly cooler temperatures. So that is why they hang down instead of being tucked up inside. So they maintain a temperature suitable for sperm production. Now we have a dual purpose duct for semen or urine. And that is going to be your urethra. Okay, in males, there is one tube from the inside to the outside that carries both semen and urine. Okay, so the contents can be coming either from the testes, seminal vesicle situation, or it can be urine coming from a bladder. And there's a little valve in there that shuts off which one is coming out. You can't have both at the same time. It's one or the other. Okay, whereas in females, which we'll see in a minute, there are two separate openings, two separate tubes, but in males, there's only one tube. So the external organ for sexual stimulation and intercourse is going to be the penis. There it is, penis. Ta-da. Everybody see it? Ta-da. Everybody's like, oh my God, I'd rather be anywhere else than here, right? Yeah, this is everyone's favorite class. So sperm is produced in the testes, okay? And then it travels through a series of tubes and glands where it mixes with fluids to form semen before exiting the body. So it starts down here. It goes through these little curly guys. It goes all the way up through that tube, which is the vas deferens, and through the seminal vesicles where it picks up buffers, sugars, mucus, other fluids, and then it is ready to come out as semen as opposed to just being sperm on its own. It needs something to ride in. It needs a vessel. Okay. So now here's our female reproductive system. All right. Where are eggs produced and estrogen? So those are going to be ovaries. There they are right there. Okay. And then we have two tubes, which can be called oviducts, uterine tubes, or fallopian tubes. Any of those names are appropriate. They connect the ovaries to the uterus. This is where fertilization occurs. Fertilization does not occur in the uterus. The fertilized zygote will make its way to the uterus, but fertilization occurs in those tubes. Now, here's the interesting thing. You see where the ovaries are, and then you see those little like fingers that look like they're holding them. Okay, those are called fimbriae. They don't actually touch. They're just right next to them. And here's what they do. It's really crazy. When the egg pops out of the ovary, the egg just pops out and it's just floating inside the body. And the little fimbriae go, come here, what, this? And they just fan like that. And they literally sweep the egg from its kind of floating around in liminal space into the oviduct or fallopian tube or uterine tube, whichever you want to call it, so that it can start its journey toward the uterus. Okay, what's the chamber where your embryo grows? That's your uterus. Okay, so that's this big muscular organ right here. Why is it so muscular? What does it have to do once that fetus is fully developed? It's got to push the fetus out, right? So it needs a lot of muscle because it has a lot of squeezing to do, right? So it's also full of a lining called endometrium. So this lining, it's a thick lining that it will build throughout a menstrual cycle. And what happens if the egg gets ovulated, gets into the fallopian tube, but doesn't get fertilized? You know what happens? So if it gets fertilized, it's going to use that endometrial lining. It's going to burrow in there, and then it'll be nourished by that, and it'll build a placenta, and it'll grow into a fetus, and it'll come out as a baby to die. If it doesn't get fertilized, that endometrial lining comes out through the cervix, out through the vagina. That's what we call a period, right? Or a menstruation, is that lining is done. So it comes out. It's not useful anymore. And then you rebuild it every single month. It gets rebuilt. So what's the part of this diagram that secretes mucus to enhance sperm motility and reduce embryonic infection? Do we know? So that's the cervix. So this is this part down here at the bottom. And it's like the neck. Cervix means these are cervical vertebrae. Cervix means neck. So you see how it's kind of like a neck to the uterus. So that will remain closed up tight like this, except during ovulation when it opens up a little bit, because it's hoping some sperm will come by, because it knows that a nice egg has just been ovulated and it's up there waiting to get fertilized. So it'll open up a tiny bit and then it will remain closed. During pregnancy, it will remain closed, and a big like plug of mucus will form in there to keep anything out, to keep the developing baby protected from germs and things that are outside, until you start to go into labor, in which case it will open really big. But that takes a lot of time, and that's what labor contractions are for. Labor contractions actually squeeze the top of the uterus, and in doing that, it pulls the cervix open, and you have to have a cervix dilated, or you can't get a baby out, right? Because it's this tight. It's very, very tight. And then lastly, your organ that is used for internal, it's internal and external. It's used for intercourse, childbirth. That's your vagina, right? That's what that's for. So if you, let me do this. All right. numbers of holes, because this confuses people. All right, so you got one hole you poop out of, right? That's your anus. How many holes did we say males have for urine and semen? They've got one, right? The urethra. It's dual purpose. It does both. So total, 2 holes. Females have one for urine. That's their urethra. By the way, the opening of the urethra in both men and women is called the meatus, the actual hole that you see. Okay, so you've got a urethra for urine, then you've got a vagina that leads to the uterus, and then you also have an anus. So how many holes for females? 3. 2 for males, 3 for females, right? All right. So how does this whole cycle situation work? Okay, here's the thing. You can't get pregnant every day. There are only certain days where a woman can get pregnant, and it's based upon when she ovulates. Now, some women are real good, and they can say exactly when in their cycle they ovulate. Some women are not so good at it because their cycle just isn't as even, isn't as regular, and it can be very hard to find. So if you assume a 28-day cycle, which is the average, by the way, what else in nature has a 28-day cycle? Do you know? The moon. It's interesting, right? The moon has a 28-day cycle when it goes from new moon to full moon, right? So it's a 28-day cycle, but it varies. It's not the same for everybody. So you've got a corpus luteum, and that comes from the egg that's been ovulated, the follicle that ovulates the egg. The maturing egg has this layer around it called a corpus luteum. And so it produces hormones as well. So you've got hormones coming from the corpus luteum, you've got hormones coming from your pituitary, and you've got hormones coming from your ovaries that are all involved in this. And hormones secreted by your corpus luteum are essential for conception and occur and for pregnancy to last. If you aren't getting those hormones, this whole process can't occur. All right, so these are the days when conception may occur. Now, truthfully, for each person, it's much more narrow, but being able to tell exactly when is very difficult. So you have different phases. If you look up there, days 1 through 5, it says uterine lining breaks down. That's menstruation. That's a period, right? Then after that, uterine lining starts to thicken again, ovulation occurs, and then uterine lining continues to thicken after that. All right, now, ovulation does not occur over 7 days like that. It's a 24-hour process, but it's going to be likely one of those 7 days. Being able to tell which of those 7 days can be very tricky. Sometimes it's easy. Some people just know it. Sometimes you can feel it. Sometimes you can actually feel the little egg pop out of the ovary. It's like, oh, it doesn't really hurt, but you can feel like a little pop. Sometimes people actually feel it. Sometimes people never feel it ever in their life. So somewhere in there, right? So, but you're not necessarily sure for each individual person. But if you wanted to be absolutely sure that there was no conception occurring, no pregnancy occurring, you would want to avoid that whole window of days, right? Because any of those days could be good possibility. So the process of ovulation lasts 24 hours, like I said. If an egg is not fertilized within 12 to 24 hours, it will die. So sperm has to get with it within 12 to 24 hours after ovulation. What do you think lives longer, eggs or sperm? Anybody want to guess? So here's a crazy thing. Let's say a woman ovulates on day 13, right? But she had intercourse on day 10. Do you think there's a possibility she could get pregnant? There's 10, 11, 12, 13, 4 days, 5 days. She can't. Because sperm can live 3, 5 days, sometimes up to a week. They can live a long time if the conditions are right. Now, part of the female reproductive tract is trying to kill off sperm, and the other part of it is happy to have it. It just kind of depends. And we used to think until fairly recently that the egg was just like a passive bystander, like it was just floating along, just waiting for the sperm, that were actively trying to get to the egg. But that we know now, just fairly recently, that that's not the case. The egg actually gives off chemical signals that tell the sperm to come to it, and then it interacts with the sperm to choose the best sperm. A lot of the time there will be some interaction, which is really interesting because we didn't know that till very recently. Okay, so how do gametes form? What are gametes? Remember, those are sperm or egg. How do they form? So baby girls, all human baby girls, are born with about 1 million eggs. 1 million. Okay, and of that million, about 300,000 are still going to be remaining by the time they reach puberty. So by the time you get to your early teenage years, 12, 13, somewhere in there, you've only got about 300,000 of the million that you started with. The not so, like, the best ones survive. Let's do it that way. All right. Then you got about 300 to 400 that'll be ovulated during your reproductive lifetime. Can women get pregnant in their 80s? No, why not? What happens? What happens with a woman's reproductive cycle as she ages? Do you know? So when women get to usually in their 50s, your body goes, done reproducing, and your periods stop, and that's called menopause. So you stop ovulating and you stop having a period. That whole cycle of the hormones going like this every month stops, right? So throughout your reproductive lifetime, which is from age approximately 11 to 13, 14, somewhere in there when periods start, which is called menarche, until menopause. So that number of years, about 300 to 400 eggs will be ovulated. Now that depends. If you're pregnant, are you ovulating? No. If you're pregnant, you're not producing any new eggs. Why? You're already growing a baby, right? Certain contraceptives, like birth control pills, prevent you from ovulating. So if you're on any of those, then you're not ovulating those 300 to 400 eggs. Now, males, interestingly, start producing sperm around the age of 12, 15, and they can produce it till the day they die, bearing no other health problems. So can a man produce a baby when he's 90 years old? Absolutely, they can. Yes, they can. Women, not so much. Men, yeah. But think about it. It's not very costly to a man, right? Like physically costly. It's physically costly to a female because you have to carry the baby, birth the baby. That's a young woman's game, right? Basically. All right. So what is it called when sperm and egg fertilize? It's called a zygote. Sorry, that was first. Yeah. Okay, it's called a zygote. That's a fertilized egg, is now called a zygote. And it will float through the fallopian tube and it will burrow into the uterine lining at a blastocyst stage where it's like hollowed out little ball of cells. We talked about this before. Then you get endoderm, mesoderm, and ectoderm forming. We talked about all this when we talked about embryology, right? You get neurulation, which is where your neural plate, your neural tube forms. So we know that we're chordates, right? Because there it is. And then you get continued development at about 8 weeks old. It becomes what we call a fetus. So you have a zygote, then it becomes an embryo, then it becomes a fetus, right? 4 to 6 months, you start get specialized cells. 7 to 9 months, organ systems mature. And then 40 weeks is a full-term pregnancy. Now, this is kind of funny. I love this photo. This is from this book over here called The Story of Life, which is a funny book. Obviously, that is not how a baby sits inside a pregnant woman, but it's kind of amusing, right? Look at that. Right? So, birth occurs in 3 stages. Your first stage is all of the contractions that are causing the cervix to dilate. And I don't know why this model is blue, but it looks like the thing from Avatar. Kind of funny, right? I don't know why she's blue. Your second stage is when the baby is actually pushed out of the body. And the third stage is when the placenta is expelled from the body. So 3 stages of labor. Now, babies can be born in many different positions. What you want, ideally, for the easiest delivery is a baby that is head down with its head facing your tailbone, not your pubic bone. You want them looking that way, not that way, ideally, because then a little baby will tuck its little chin, and this is the first part to come out of the mom. And remember, we talked about it, there are joints here, right? Those are all free moving at this point. They're not connected so that the skull can kind of collapse on itself a little bit and the baby can get out that way. Then you can also have cesarean deliveries where a baby is delivered surgically, right? They cut the mom open down right above her pubic bone, go in, take the baby out, take the placenta out. So babies can be, anybody know how they were born? Is anybody a C-section baby? Do you know? No? No? Nobody knows? So I was born in what I think is the most fun of these positions. I was rec breech. I was holding my feet and I was butt first. My butt was the first thing to see this world. And my mom's doctor said, I love it when they come out like this. And she's like, my God, why? Because she's trying to push me out butt first. And he said, I can tell if it's a boy or a girl before it's even all the way out. Since that was the part of me that came out first. So there you go. All right, I'll let you watch this one at home on your own, but it shows embryonic development and fetal development from fertilization through birth. My full disclosure, that video is produced by a pro-life source, but it's very, very accurate and it doesn't have any propaganda in it. It just shows you the process, which is why I chose it. All right, now this is very important. Unit test 8 is due next week, but this is the important part. So ears, pay attention. See that little note? You'll be tested on a few topics that are part of lesson 33. That's next week because I have to test you on those in order to close out unit 8. So you need to do lesson 33 first. Be sure you understand everything in lesson 33 before you do your unit 8 test. Everybody hears that? What are we doing first? Are we doing the test first or lesson 33? Lesson 33, we're doing it first, right? And these are the two. Look, I give you the questions. I'm giving you the questions that are on the test. You're going to need to say, answer, sometimes the immune system turns against certain molecules and cells naturally occurring in the body. It's called an autoimmune disease. Give an example of an autoimmune disease. Know that before you take your test. Okay? Are we good? All right, I think we're good. Let's get ready for lab. Let's do it. Hello, people. Oh, thank you. Well, that's from my mother. Feels like shoes. She's ordering